Ceaseless shelling with heavy artillery. The enemy is still trying to push the Ukrainian military out of Severodonetsk-Luhansk region. That is where Russia has concentrated the majority of its troops to encircle the city. Fierce fighting is now taking place there.
На Сєвєродонецькому напрямку.
In the Severodonetsk direction, in order to support the actions of ground units, the enemy continues to fire on our troops with the use of rocket and artillery systems. The enemy struck with operational and tactical aircraft near the village of Ustinivka. It attempts to entrench itself in the northeastern outskirts of Severodonetsk, conducting assault actions in the direction of the city center.
Attempts by Russian occupiers to capture part of Liman in the Donetsk region failed. The Ukrainian military gave a decent repulse and drove individual enemy units outside the city. Servicemen of the armed forces of Ukraine also launched a counterattack south of Kryvyi Rih.
63 Russian invaders were eliminated and 19 units of enemy equipment were destroyed, including modern T-72 tanks, the Grad multiple rocket launchers, artillery, helicopters and one Su-35 aircraft. Alexander Vilko, head of the Kryvyi Rih military administration.
The armed forces of Ukraine destroyed a farmer's hangar in Zaporizhia. The enemy was hiding their equipment there. The Russian occupiers also failed in the Borislav direction. The Ukrainian soldiers forced them out from the third line of defense, which they had built earlier in the Kherson region.
The Russian occupiers are just fleeing, so now it is very important to continue this offensive. The enemy is panicking, they are desperate and running away. I am sure we will liberate our native land soon, said Hwan, deputy of the Kherson Regional Council.
The enemy's combat spirit is failing with each passing day. According to the head of the Odessa military administration, Maxim Marchenko, firefights have begun between the Russian military and those mobilized from the so-called Luhansk and Donetsk People's Republics.
Мабуть, їм вже не дуже хочеться ставати гарматним м'ясом.
Maybe they don't really want to become cannon fodder to be thrown forward during the storming of our positions anymore. It's very good that there are fewer and fewer of you, but leave some to our armed forces. 30,000 dead occupiers is not the limit, and we will fight until there are none of you left on our soil.
The day before, a residential neighborhood in Mykolaiv was hit by a missile. One person was killed and 2 more were wounded. More than 30 explosions were heard in the border districts of the Sumy and Chernihiv regions. Fortunately, no casualties were reported. The Kharkiv and Dnipropetrovsk regions were targeted. Kramatorsk and neighboring towns were left without electricity. In just one day, 3 civilians were killed as a result of shelling in the Donetsk region. Miraculously, a family who tried to hide in a shelter during the explosions managed to escape. A 3-year-old child got shrapnel wounds.
Does it hurt? Yes, of course it hurts. A child cries. We took him to the hospital.
Russian troops came to our land to kill the Ukrainian people. According to Prime Minister Denis Shmyhal, the occupiers are deliberately committing war crimes.
In our case, the number of civilian casualties is 10 times higher than among the military. This proves that the Russian army and Russia are at war with the civilian population of Ukraine and not with our armed forces. Denis Shmyhal, Prime Minister of Ukraine.
225 high-rise buildings in Kharkiv were completely destroyed. In total, more than 2,000 residential buildings in the city were damaged. The largest damage occurred in the northern and eastern neighborhoods. The day before, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky came to the city.
The state must ensure this in terms of guarantees, and the leaders of cities and regions must find great projects and money, because locally, governors and mayors are more likely to find one or another European program to build housing. Somewhere state programs, somewhere local programs.
Meanwhile, truck traffic over the bridge has been restored in Stoyanka of the Kiev region. So far, only the left side is open. It is planned to finish the repair in autumn of this year. Temporary modular settlements started to be installed in the deoccupied Borodyanka. Families affected by Russian shelling will be able to live there. The camps will consist of 4 complexes. Each will have 22 modules for living, as well as a kitchen, a shower and a toilet. During the capture of Borodyanka, the Russian army completely destroyed 161 apartment buildings and more than 4,600 private houses. People are also waiting for the liberation of the territories in temporarily occupied Melitopol. The day before, several dozen residents gathered for a pro-Ukrainian rally. Wearing blue and yellow flags, they sang the Ukrainian anthem. Reported by Marina Stepanenko, Alexander Belov, UATV News.
Melitopol is Ukraine. Glory to Ukraine. Glory to the heroes.